So in a recent article, Mike, you wrote about the idea to kickstart weapons production through the use of a defense industry board of some sort. Could you sort of describe why and what that would look like?
Well, in the Australian context, given our legislative and regulatory framework, the proposal that I advanced a few weeks ago now would be for the creation of a statutory commission headed up by a dedicated defence production commissioner whose sole job would be to, for Australian Indigenous purposes, but adding to the aggregate level of, if you like, the arsenal of today's democracies, a statutorily empowered commissioner who would be joined by two key officers, the Secretaries of Defence and the Secretary of Industry. Now, particularly for American audience, in this context, the Secretary is a senior civil servant who reports to the Cabinet Minister. So in our countries, the Minister is the elected official in Cabinet and the civil servant is known as the Secretary. So they're the equivalent of the Deputy Secretaries in American departments. That would be a very powerful trio who would then be afforded by our Parliament special procurement powers, which actually allowed them to speed up procurement activity, going from proposals to contract in matters of days and weeks, depending on the nature of the technology, months in some cases if the technology had to be proven up, and having an autonomy from our normal regulatory and procurement restrictions that would allow them to cut through that red tape. And that commission obviously would still be accountable to the Parliament. They would have to still keep the receipts for their actions and be able to account for their actions, but they'd have decisive cut-through powers to effectively do what was done at the start of the Second World War, which were letters of intent and almost in some cases handshake deals with the lawyers following up the next day. Now, not as a matter of best practice, we should avoid handshake deals, but in an emergency, if that's what's required, with a lawyer then codifying it in a letter of intent, so be it.